Good morning. Welcome back to another Tuesday deep dive. All right. Let's browser run. There we are. Right. Yes, welcome. First of all, thanks to everyone who's watching. If you are new and don't know, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. I stream around this time each week, Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Central Time. Here on the Adafruit channel, typically working on stuff related to CircuitPython. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, you can learn more about it at the main website for the project here, circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python that is designed to run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. The way it works typically is you would plug these devices into your computer with a USB cable. They show up like a thumb drive. You can edit a Python code file on that drive, and when you save it, the microcontroller will execute the code for you. The code that you run can interface with whatever other hardware peripherals you hook up. So today I have a Feather TFT. I happen to also have a GPS Featherwing, but we're not really using that. I have a Lux light sensor, and I have a temperature, humidity, and CO2 sensor over there. So CircuitPython allows you to write Python code that can interface with these other types of sensors. You can also do things like RGB lights, buttons, buzzers, beepers, keyboards, cameras, kinds of interesting things that you can hook up to your microcontroller and control with CircuitPython code. CircuitPython, which is a project that I work on the stream, is open source. It's completely free to use. It's completely free to port it to work on your own device. If you are a company who produces hardware, a microcontroller, you can add support for CircuitPython free. There's no licensing fee. You don't have to pay anyone to use it. If you like that, if you want to help support things like that, open source hardware and software, Adafruit is the company that makes that possible for CircuitPython. They are a hardware and software company based out of New York. Most people watching this probably are familiar. This is on their channel, but they not only have microcontrollers and the sensors like the ones I was showing a second ago, they also have all sorts of other doodads that you can hook up to your microcontroller to make fun projects with, as well as the whole Learn system, which provides over 1,000 tutorials and projects and ideas of things to make with your microcontrollers in CircuitPython or without. There's plenty of stuff that's not CircuitPython documented there too. So if you want to help support them, be able to continue funding open source software like CircuitPython, as well as the other open source work that they pay people to work on, one of the easiest ways you can do it is by purchasing hardware on their website from them at adafruit.com or through resellers like DigiKey and others. Oh, about lost a, let me move this here, shuffle around the desk a little bit, about lost a different feather over here. Okay, so jumping in today, I am looking at the code for this sensor locked secrets project, which I started actually the very, very first version of this back on my stream last week or the week before on Saturday. I think the week before on Saturday. And I have added a few more things to it. It's gone through a few iterations. This version is now hooked up to a different sensor. This is using the temperature humidity sensor. Originally, when I did it only with the Lux sensor. I also have a GPS version floating around, and I also have done images since the time when I streamed this before. I added support for being able to decode an BMP image file in addition to just a plain text thing. So let me quickly show what the project is, and then I'm just going to dive into the code. We're going to be doing some cleanup and some refactoring and stuff. So this project is all about, this is not going to want to focus very well. I'm going to have to probably, I don't know if it's going to do any better closer, is it? Yes, a little bit. So the core idea of this project is you have a secret message, which is all jumbled up on the screen here, and the microcontroller is trying to use the data from the sensors in order to decrypt that secret message. So the message has been encrypted using essentially a value range of readings from the sensor. So in this case, it is looking for humidity, and it's showing me that the current humidity is 43, and then it's showing me this jumbled version of the message. So we know that 43 is not the sort of like target value to decrypt the message. In this case, I do happen to know that it is one higher. It's 44. Maybe I'll be able to get there by lightly breathing in its general direction and then waiting for it to drop back down. There we go. So at 44, a few things happened. So we see that's showing 44. This now has readable text. This one is not very creative. It just says a little bit humid. The idea here would be, though, you could use this as part of like a scavenger hunt or an escape room type of a puzzle type situation or something like that, where this could give you a clue to go to the next thing. So you see we also have a progress here, 1 of 2. And what that is meaning is that we are on the first of 2, in this case, puzzles. We have now solved the first one because we decrypted this. You may have noticed this thing also started going kind of crazy, which is not super duper related to the sensor. That's probably some debugging code that we'll clean up when we get into the code. But what you can do now is it's waiting for a button press. So the boot button there, if I press it, it will move us on to the second of 2 puzzles. And so now this is back to a scrambled message, another decrypted message, and it's again back to just trying to decrypt it using the sensor. And again, in this case, it is humidity, but it can, theoretically, it should be able to switch around to different stuff. So in this case, the second message, though, is actually, I happen to know this because I set it up yesterday, is encrypted with a value of like 41, I think, humidity, and rain came in overnight, and it is now more humid than 41%, so I do not currently have a great, super easy way to dry it out enough to make it decrypt. So that's part of the fun of this kind of project, is it's like you are locking this secret message, this secret value or image, into a way that you can only get it back out when the sensor reads the correct thing. So that's the idea. You can set up more than 2 if you want. Oh, we actually did drop to 42. If we manage to dry it out 1 more %, we should be able to decrypt the second one. But the way it works sort of from the user's perspective is you have, let me load up the page for it as well, actually. Let's see. What do I want to do? Okay, this is the page that lets you encrypt your messages. So I'm gonna change this up a little bit, but the way it works, like right now is you would choose temperature. Bucket size is gonna get a new name, but this is basically the scale of how precise the reading needs to be. So for temperature, 1 degree Celsius is pretty good. For something like Lux, you might use 10 or 100 as the scale instead of 1. So you can use powers of 10 there. You might be able to use others, but I'm not sure. I haven't actually tested that. And then you would put a value. So if we wanted this to decrypt at 22 degrees Celsius, we would enter 22 there. And it gives you this range, 22 to 23, and the sensor, anytime it reads inside this range, the microcontroller code will expand to use this as the key, essentially. And then we would put whatever we want here. So, hello deep divers, we could put there, we would encrypt it, and this is going to give us this entry, which we then copy paste into the code inside of this sequence. So it contains a couple of things, the type for either text or image. It contains the data, which is the encrypted message. It contains the hash, SHA-256, of the decrypted message. So we entered in plain text, hello deep divers. This would be the hash of hello deep divers, and it needs that so that it can validate when it has decrypted successfully. Because when that happens is when it allows you to push the boot button to move on to the next puzzle in the list. The other thing it will do is lock the message on the screen. So if you find the secret value, you decode the message, it will know that you found it, and it will not keep trying to change based on new sensor readings. So if you had a precise thing like 22 degrees Celsius or whatever, and you breathed on it to heat it up just a little bit, and you got it to there, and then it cooled back off, it would still keep showing you the message because it knows you got it correct. So it's like keeping it revealed for you. The hash is how it knows it's correct. The reading is the type of reading that it's going to be. So this sensor has temperature, humidity, and CO2. So you would put that there, and there's a map that goes to the properties on the object to get that value. And then bucket size here, like I said, I think we're going to change the name of that. But let's start by going through the Python code side, the microcontroller code side, and cleaning up and refactoring a little bit. So if you did catch the stream from a couple of weeks back, then you will have seen that the first version of this code was essentially written written out by hand, no LLM, if I recall correctly. The next couple of things I added a few more features like the sequence ability, the images ability, and then branching out to the different sensor types, so GPS and temperature, humidity. Those things I did use the LLM to help expand the code on. I gave it the initial version that I wrote, and I asked it to expand in those areas over different sessions. This was not all at one time. And then now I do definitely want to go back and do some cleanup because it did, I think, overcomplicate some things. So we're going to kind of step through and clean up, refactor, do that sort of thing now. The LLMs are great at generating code, but they do sometimes do it in a way that's not what I want at the end of the day, basically, right? Just depends if you care enough to go back and change it, I suppose. This part's fine. I mean, I do think I'll want to change bucket size, but we need to do that on both sides at the same time. So let's leave that for now. This stuff is fine. So here's how it maps from the reading types in this list over to the properties, which it can access off of the sensor object. I think I took the debouncing out. Yeah, this is no longer used. That's one thing I did actually yesterday. Obviously not on the stream, but that means we don't need this, I think, right? This is no used. That was one of the things where is a good example, in fact, of what the LLM will kind of overcomplicate. So I asked it to use debouncing to make the button only trigger once when it's pressed, but and I wanted it to just do previous value compared to current value over frames of the main loop. But it went and did a whole like half-second cooldown, wait for this amount of time before it can register. Like, it was way more than it needed to be. All right, so this is going to loop over the items in the sequence. It's going to get the type. So this is just error catching. Essentially, it's going to make sure all the stuff inside of this is valid, which is fine. That's good. It should always be valid as long as you get it out of the page here, which is going to generate it for you, and the project will document both to use them together. Bucket size, again, that's going to change, which would maybe change BS here, which is short for bucket size. But again, I do want to do it all at once, so we'll change that when we get into the HTML page. Type image, okay. Yeah, that's all good. There's the button setup, and there's the simplified stuff it needs for the actual debouncing previous value. I don't think we need that, actually. Last change time, so that was part of the old thing. All right, sensor setup. That's fine, I think. Call it sensor. Display setup. Okay. Progress label is good. That's fine. Content area goes below. So this is kind of like the what it's calling. I need to add try catch. What it's calling the HUD is this top row right here. So the HUD group contains this progress label on the left and this sensor reading label on the right. And then content group is below that, which contains the decrypted message or the scrambled message in this case. And you can hold the image as well. Okay, so here's where we get into some more functions. So key derivation, this is going to take the range string, so the value much like this, 22-23, it's going to take that, and it is going to get the hash of it, 256, SHA-256 hash. If it is doing the text message, so like this one is text instead of an image, then it will use base 64. So it will take the hash and it will convert it to base 64, and then that's what this will return, which means that's what will be used as the key to attempt to decrypt the message. What's up, Royal Bengali? I still don't know much about Arduino, but it's nice to see you, my friend. And then if you're doing the image, which it's not on the display here, so we'd have to switch to an image to show you that one. Maybe we'll do that a little bit later. If you're doing an image, though, it does not base 64 the hash. It keeps it as bytes because on the image, it doesn't need readable text, ASCII. Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pis are pretty cool. If you have a question or a comment about the Raspberry Pi, I'm not using one specifically right now, but I'm aware of them, and I think they're relatively cool. Getting them to be on the pricey side, but so get range string will take a bucketed range string like 22 to 23 for the given challenge entry. It reads whichever sensor attribute is named by reading, and it buckets the truncated to int. Okay, so get range string. This is actually taking a sensor reading, and I think I want to rename this. So get range string. I think instead this should be get range string from sensor. I really want to put sensor in here to make it clear that this is taking a reading from the sensor, and it's then generating the string, which is going to get hashed to try to decrypt the thing. Get range string. I think we're just going to go get range string from sensor. What are we working on today? So we are working on a project for I call it sensor, what was it? Sensor locked secrets. So I have an encrypted message right here, and I have hooked up a couple of sensors to this device. It's a little bit out of frame, but the temperature, humidity, CO2 sensor right there, and then a lux sensor over here. And I actually have a GPS as well, but I'm not using that one specifically right now. And what you can see, in fact, by putting my finger over near the humidity thing, we raised the humidity to 44, and that decrypted the message once it reached 44. So this message, not very creative right now, this one, but it just says a little bit humid. That message was decrypted with the humidity reading from this sensor at value 44. And then we also have multiple puzzles. So we're on 1 of 2. I can push the button. We go to 2 of 2. We see the next message, but it's scrambled. We have to figure out the correct reading in order to unscramble it with the sensor. What microcontroller? It is a Adafruit Feather TFT ESP32S3. So ESP32S3 based, and then it's an Adafruit Feather form factor with a little display on the front there. You're from India, made something with Wi-Fi and Arduino and relay. Nice. That's pretty cool. You can turn stuff on and off. All right, get range from sensor. This sensor is a little bit weird in that I noticed, I was looking at the driver for it last night. You have to read, so it's kind of like first and foremost a CO2 sensor, but I think it needs the temperature and humidity to get a more accurate CO2 reading or something, or maybe it's vice versa. I'm not entirely sure on the exact way. But one way or another, it's kind of like the way the driver works is you have to read CO2 if you want the other values to update, essentially. So when you read the CO2, that is also sort of refreshing the temperature and the humidity inside the sensor driver. So here it's basically saying if the type that we're after is not CO2, then we need to read the CO2 anyway. We'll just throw away the value, but we have to read it in order to get the temperature or humidity to update as well. So that's what that is. It's getting the actual reading from the sensor as an integer. Then it is updating the label. So this top right here, it's updating it with the value. It is looking up the bucket size. Again, we're going to change it, but that's like the precision level. It is taking the reading, dividing by the bucket size, and then multiplying by the bucket size. So I think that's truncating off the decimal. Bucket. Getting the start, yeah, it's getting the lower bound of the bucket size. So if the bucket size is 1, then it is truncating off the decimal. If the bucket size was 10, then it would be getting the next lowest power of 10. So I mean, it's doing that when it's 1 as well. It just so happens to be the decimal. Want to be a doctor? Is there any purpose of microcontrollers in biology? I'm not the one who could answer that for you. I do not know hardly anything about biology. Don't know anything really about being a doctor. There's certainly lots of medical devices that use microcontrollers, but to what extent the doctor specifically needs to be like interacting with the microcontroller at that level, I do not know necessarily. I think they're usually just using the device sort of as a user level thing. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry, you'd have to check somewhere else for that. Okay, so that's pretty good. That's going to get the current reading and translate it into one of these ranges, which it can then use to try to decrypt the thing. This one returns lowercase hex. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Where is it used? Used here under verify. I don't know if it really needs to be 2 functions, but I suppose it's fine. I mean, you know, you could obviously take this out and reuse it more easily with it this way, but it is also a purpose-built thing for this. It's not really meant to be reused. Doctor, engineer, who do you prefer? Which should I become? I can't answer that for you. I would say both are pretty good people for the most part. and you should not take life direction from someone just on the internet doing their own thing, really, which is what I am. So I could never answer that for you. Also, I know, you know, I'm in a completely different part of the world. I know nothing about your situation or anything around you, right? Like, all right, verify. So that's just making sure that they are matching. That's fine. Decryption. So this will decrypt over printable ASCII. Nah, man, you saw me every day. I mean, you didn't see me every day. I mean, a couple of days a week if you watch the streams, but ciphertext bytes. You're in ID. Well, I think yeah, you told me you're in India, I think. Yeah, you told me that one. But I am not, right? So I don't know. You know, I don't know that much about the place where you are, right? Like where I'm at day to day, it's entirely different. I'm a good person and teacher. Well, I appreciate you saying that. Okay, so this is, I think this is fine. So this is, I don't actually know how to pronounce. Is it Vignere? Vignere? I don't know the correct way to pronounce the cipher, but maybe Vignere. Truthfully, in my head, I don't do a silent on the G. It's like Vignere in my head, which I'm like 95% sure that's wrong, but that is fine. There's really no way this can be improved. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. It's it is slightly modified for any brethren crypto nerds out there. It is not plain Vignere, I'll go with for now during the stream. So originally that cipher would have been just A through Z alphabet, but this one has been expanded to all of what they call printable ASCII, which I didn't know that was the term for it, but it's IDs 32 to 26. So it can do uppercase, lowercase numbers. It can do all the symbols that you can type on a standard keyboard, essentially. But beyond that, it's the exact same algorithm as the original Vignere cipher. So try decrypt will take the range key. It will derive the key from it. It will attempt the decryption. So it will take the data, the encrypted data. It will attempt to decrypt it using the key that came from this. This is what it gets back. If the key was correct, then it will be actual plain text that's readable. If the key was incorrect, then it will be gibberish. It will be garbled, whatever, right? You won't be able to read it unless you get really lucky. Success is going to verify, so then that returns true or false, and it returns the plain text. Seems reasonable. Let's see here. I want to join Arduino and Adafruit. How can I become part of Adafruit? So that I can speak to a little bit more. And what I would say is kind of the same thing as what Scott, who started the deep dive over on Fridays, said, which is just start getting involved, right? Like one of the coolest things, in my opinion, about Adafruit is everything that we work on, or everything that I work on. There is some stuff that's not fully open source, but there's a lot of stuff that Adafruit works on that's open source. So get on GitHub if you're not there. Find the Adafruit repos and just start helping. Come join us on Discord, right? You're on YouTube here. If you look at the bottom of the nope, wrong way. If you look at the link down there, adafru.it/discord, if you go there, there's a CircuitPython dev channel, there's a CircuitPython help channel. Join the Discord, hang out in those two channels, ask questions, answer questions, read what people are talking about. There's a show and tell channel in there, so if you make something, you can post pictures, or you can post code, or you can post whatever you want about your project, to be clear. But because all this stuff is open source, you can just start helping, right? You can just start working on it. That's what I did when I wanted to join Adafruit. Is I just started working on Adafruit stuff. I started showing up to the CircuitPython meetings, which are held in the open, in the public on Mondays. And I just started participating, like reviewing PRs, helping out on the Discord when people have questions and I knew the answer, I would answer it for them. If somebody asked a question I didn't know the answer, but I was pretty sure I knew how to look it up, I would look up the answer real quick and try to help them. Just get involved, basically, because it's open source. You can kind of just start, and if you start and show up in the meetings and show up on show and tell every now and then, get to know the folks, like that's basically how it works. Student from the 9th studying microcontrollers. Nice, that's cool. I definitely, I mean, I'm biased, but I definitely think microcontrollers pretty cool. So this one is basically the same as the text one, except it's for an image. And when I say basically the same, what I mean is in signature, not so much in functionality. So it again takes, it's trying to decrypt something. In this case, it has a few extra arguments because the picture has a size and some extra metadata we have to care about. But conceptually, like, we're getting an encrypted thing, we're getting a potential key, or in this case, a thing to derive a potential key from. And we are then gonna try to decrypt the image, and we are gonna return whether or not it was successful, and we're also gonna return the attempted decrypted pixel data. So whether it was successful or not, we're gonna return that pixel data so that it can be shown on the screen. If it was unsuccessful, it will look like static. If it was successful, then it will be the actual image. And this is basically, again, as simple as it can really get. I think this is totally fine. So it's going to derive the key. It's going to, let's see here, get the pixel data from here. Okay, right, gets passed in as encrypted raw data. So this gets read out of a file. Ultimately, it would be outside this function somewhere. It would have read it out of a file. And then here it's going to get just the pixel data because that file is like, contains also metadata like the image size and the palette and I think a few other things. So this is getting just the pixel data out of it, just RGB. Well, they're actually, I think they're not RGB because it's an indexed one, but okay. Create a byte array to store the decrypted data inside of. Create a cipher object using the current key that we're going to attempt. Try to decrypt the pixel data, the encrypted pixel data. Store the result in the decrypted byte array. Check if it was successful, so validate the hash of the decrypted data against the one from the entry. If it matches, then it was successful. And there's our return of either true, false, successful, or not true or false, whether it was successful, and the actual data that came out. Okay, challenge renderer, load image entry. So read and parse the encrypted bitmap file, returns a state dictionary. So this is where it gets read out of the file. Palette. And then it is going to return a dictionary with, okay, yeah, basically all the stuff it needs to both show the scrambled version and attempt to decrypt it into the correct version. Challenge renderer. So here's one of the things I'm curious about is, do I really want this class? Manages the content group display for the currently active challenge. So it has an active index, it has a text widget, it has an image state. Setup. Prepare the content group for challenge index. No op if it's already set up. While the length of the group. All right, so this is emptying the group. Text widget none, image state none. So it's creating a new label every time, which I don't super care for. Or does setup only get called once, maybe? Sensor. Okay, where does this get called? Under .setup. So while true, get the current entry from the list. Oh yeah, okay. This is coming back to me. I was thinking kind of unrelated, but if we look back here, this might be crashed, right? Yeah, this is crashed right now. I think that's because this sensor does not like to be read too quickly again. And I actually added this cooldown to try to resolve that, but I think what I need to do is probably, we need to also try catch. I mean, maybe the driver should, well, no, the driver should probably raise. I don't know. In any case, in this code, we need to handle it. But really what I'm looking for is setup. So entry, but basically this is gonna say if they have not solved this challenge and if cooldown time has passed. So I think it's like half a second. And this is basically just to slow it down so that we're not trying to read from the sensor as fast as this thing can loop over and over and over, right? Because this sensor doesn't like that. It throws this error. So it's slowing it down. I need to still handle it a different way as well, which is clear because it's still crashed, but that's what this is about. If it's not time yet, if we have not elapsed the cooldown, then it just uses the old value and goes on with the rest of the stuff. So nothing will change, essentially. It's the same key that it tried last time. Cache key. So this is how it knows whether or not it's the same as last time, which is further down here. But this is basically just storing the key that we're going to use to decrypt with, and then also the type of thing it is. So humidity, temperature, or whatever. So this is calling setup on the entry, and it's calling update HUD. For now, we can ignore challenge solved. Normal path. The last sensor read time is now. So here's where it's checking if they're actually different. So this is basically saying, like, did the sensor reading change or not? If the sensor reading is the same as the last iteration through the while loop, then there's no need to, like, bother with comparing and checking and doing anything, because, like, we would have already done that last time, and we already know the results. It either was successful or it wasn't, but in either way, it didn't change since we have the same value. If it is different, though, then we do this stuff, which is store the time, get the units. This is just used for printing in the console. So this is like, well, I can't see them because we have this spam here. I need to go back and get rid of that spam. This is like this printout right here. Okay, so that's where this comes from. Old range equals, so update the old range equals cache key equals curt cache key. Range equals curt cache key. It might, maybe it should be cache key. I don't know. In any case, let's leave it for now. Old range. We'll see if this is this used somewhere? A little bit lower. Okay. Well, it's used. Okay, it's used in challenge solved. Okay. That for now. Old range. If the type is text, then try to decrypt it and then update with the plain text. If it was successful, then we set challenge solved to true, which locks it so that it will keep showing the decrypted message and it will wait for you to press the button to move on to the next challenge. If it's an image, then we try to decrypt it as an image. Again, if it's successful, we set that to true. so that user can press the button. Now, does this call setup on every iteration? It looks to my eye like it does. It does. We totally do not want that, because setup is just throwing away everything in the group and recreating it, and that is wasteful. We don't need to do that. Maybe we would want to throw them away for the image, because I don't know if we can reuse. I don't know if we can reuse a tile grid with a different bitmap and a different palette. But it's possible that we can. I'm not sure. If we can't, then we would want to get rid of the tile grid and make a new one each time. But not each time, not each iteration through the main loop, though. This should just be, we would only want to get rid of it and make a new one whenever we're changing to a new puzzle. So yeah, this is definitely not a good way to do this. It does work. So it's what you get sometimes from the LLM. I mean, we could make it a lot better if we at least were just only calling render.setup when one challenge is solved and they're moving on to the next one. That would make it a lot better. It's still unnecessary to be deleting the text box, though. Like, hey. The cat is suddenly very interested. But, I mean, for one thing, we're creating these things back here, like, or, well, no, we're not actually, right? Because we're just creating the content area. Creating the content group, but we're not putting anything in it. Okay. I see. Okay. I think we should try to keep those things. We should try to create them in the constructor, and we should try to keep them, and then we should try to reuse them. And we should not be throwing, at a bare minimum, we should not be throwing them away every iteration of the main loop. If we're going to be throwing them away, like, for one thing, I don't think we need to throw away the text one at all. We can just keep reusing it. And the image one, if we do need to throw it away, we should only be doing it when we are changing from one puzzle to the next, because that's when presumably we'd be going from one image puzzle to another image puzzle. They could have a completely different size. They could have a completely different palette. And therefore we might not be able to use the same tile grid. But again, I'm not sure. It may be the case that we can. So here, I think we want to create the... Well, for one thing, we don't need a group. This is silly. We don't need this. Also, strangely... Oh, okay. Ew. Yeah. Definitely do not like the way the code on this part came out. So it has like... It has kind of like conflated the idea of a group and a tile grid. It had TG. I'm assuming it got TG for tile grid. I'm assuming it got TG for tile grid from somewhere, and then here it just called. I mean, I guess you could say maybe it's text group in that case, but it's not necessary. We don't need it. I think we could just do that. And I think we should just do. This should maybe even take content group as an argument, because right now we're just accessing it from the outer scope. But that's not end of the world. And okay, and yeah, content group should already be shifted down, so we should not need to move. Tearing up the carpet, that's wonderful. They're saying text widget. I'm gonna say secret message text. And we do want this to be a text box because we want it to be center aligned and we want it to wrap automatically. And this is setting text widget to the one it created. But that seems like a redundant step, honestly. I don't think we need text widget as a thing and secret message text as a thing. So I presume somewhere else it will, like here, push the new plain text to the image, keeps if unchanged. I think, yeah, I don't think we need to do this. Update text, plain text. I think we need to do that part. The fact that it was calling set, like I think maybe I added, well, I don't know if I added that or if I added it somewhere else. I did notice yesterday it was blinking the label, but I think this is because of the setup, the way it was destroying it every time. Self.secretMessage.text, plain text. I mean, one thing we could do in setup is like we could hide and show the correct group, although still we do not need to do that every iteration through the main loop. We could just do it when it's changing. We need that either. Okay, I see now, but it was ignoring by doing these. Okay. I think I'm with it a little bit now. It's not quite as bad as I thought, but I still think we don't need to call the text box in particular. We can just keep for sure. I know I'm like 99% sure we can keep it. We don't need to recreate it. So here we would not need to recreate this. I don't even know that we need to change the text on it, but good. What is this? Oh. Shadows. Let's try to keep this. I think we should be able. Actually, one thing we could do is we could say self secret message text hidden equals false. And we're going to have a okay. I think maybe we cannot. I think the tile grid, it might be like locked by size. I think you might be able to reuse it if your next bitmap had the same size or something. I think there's a limitation like that. But one thing that there's definitely a limitation for is we can't create a tile grid without a bitmap and a palette, I'm pretty sure. And at init time here, when this object is created, we don't have a bitmap and a palette yet. So we can't really create a tile grid here, I don't think. So maybe then this one we do need to recreate each time. But what we should do is still store it on the object, I think. So self secret image tile grid. But it has to start on none. And then here we will be setting it to this. I did this for the image I was using, but I don't know if we'll keep it. Maybe it could be configured in the JSON thing, but I don't know if I want to go quite that far either. Okay, so we should say if self.secret image tile grid, so is not none, if it's not none and if it is in the content group, then remove it. You can do remove layer. If it's in the group, then remove it. If it's not none and it's in the group, then remove it. Then we create it, and then we add it to the group. Okay, so now this should be calling setup, but not recreating the text thing. It was not as bad as I thought. I put my print a little earlier, and it makes it seem like it, well, I mean, technically it is spamming still. It was not showing the ciphertext, was it? Not showing the ciphertext. We did break it. I think, how did we break it? Date text. Oh, I think we never added the secret message text to content group. We need. And actually here, we should be doing this, right? So this is saying if the type is text, we want to make the text, well, text. Maybe we should do this outside of here? right, if the type is image, then we want to hide the text. Oops. So now the text is just getting hidden and shown instead of destroyed and recreated. And I believe that I added it to the content group now, so it should be visible. Player is already in a group, 337. And secret message text. Oh, I did already append it, actually. Hidden false. Content group, get main group. So why does not show? It's be full text? It's a scrolling. Setting text. So it should have changed it here, but we don't see it. And theoretically, it would be changing it here as well. I'm not sure we need update text as a function, and we could just use the property. Tried to do its thing, but did that timeout deal. Definitely not working. I'd update text. What does it have in here? Is it actually getting something to show? It is. So why is it not showing? Oh, this is still removing everything. We don't want it to be. In fact, this is kind of what replaces that now. We want to remove only the image tile grid. So that would have been just removing the text instantly. Label. There we go. Okay. Very good. Make sure it works if I go. That coming from. This is inside if challenge solved. Okay. So we need to, for this sensor at least, we need to handle that IO input-output error thing. And I think the way that we're going to do that is... this basically needs to try catch, I think. Oops. Be on the same line. So if that were to happen again, it should catch it and just try again after a half second. Theoretically, it should be okay then. Okay. Getting closer. Setup was not as bad as it looked like. But I do like it a lot better now that we're not throwing away the text message, the text label every time. We should, I guess, make sure... well, we did see that it worked, I think, right? That's a little bit humid. Button. Yeah, those totally update. Okay, so I'll need to test the image ones, but text at the very least is working fine. All right. That's gonna about do it. It's been about an hour, which is how long I stream here on the Tuesdays. So thanks again, everyone, for watching along. If you find this kind of stuff interesting, feel free to check back in Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Central Time. I'm here. Sometimes I'm working. This time I'm working on a project level stuff. Other times we're working on like core stuff. Last week I was working on I2SN. Sometimes we're working on library stuff for infrastructure. Just depends whatever is going on my desk that week. As a reminder, later today, oh, actually, maybe not. It was there earlier. Possibly later today will be JP's product pick of the week, as long as he's not taking the day off, and I'm not 100% sure if he is or not. I thought earlier when I was on this page it showed... oh, this is learn though. I want to be on... yeah, okay, there we go, totally. Yeah, okay, so reminder, JP's product pick of the week is on later today, 4 p.m. Eastern. You can get yourself a good discount on whatever the product of the week is. So check that out if you would like to support Adafruit and also get some cheap hardware. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. I will be back next week, same time, same place. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful day, week, time, experience. Have fun.